You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is undoubtedly a great week if you are a part of the Kessel family, specifically if you are Amanda Kessel. Hi, my name is Erica L. Ayala, bringing you another women's hockey spotlight as part of Locked On NHL. I am, of course, also the host of Locked On Kraken, so make sure you give us a listen. But I want to talk to you about Amanda Kessel. If you're not familiar with Amanda Kessel, then you should be. Now, Amanda Kessel has been a fantastic player. She came back from several concussion setbacks that she suffered in college to go on to be a multiple-time Olympian, a gold medalist with the 2018 team. And now she has recently, just this week, been promoted to the assistant general manager with the AHL Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, as well as the Penguins manager of minor league operations. Now, Amanda Kessel has been with the Pittsburgh Penguins organization for about a year now and has been doing great. Kyle Dubas had great things to say about her, specifically around the time that she was drafted to PWHL Montreal team at 41st overall. Now, I want to stop there for a minute because if you're familiar with Amanda's game, then you know she's not a 41st overall pick. She should go much higher in any draft. If you're not familiar with her game, let me just put it this way. You might have heard that after a 20-year drought, Team USA Hockey on the women's side, won their first Olympic gold medal back in 2018, Pyeongchang. At the time, we still had the Lamoureux twins playing hockey, and we had the oops, I did it again goal to win gold for the United States. I'll just say this. The United States would not have been in a position to win in a shootout once again against Canada if Amanda Kessel had not buried her shootout goal. She has been fantastically consistent for the United States, underrated, I think, because of some of the bigger draws and the bigger names, not necessarily, in my opinion, the better players. Hot take it or leave it. But Amanda Kessel has been that girl, that woman for USA Hockey for quite some time. She also played a little bit in the NWHL with the Riveters. Now, she was in and out of her season with the Rivs because of her commitments to USA Hockey, and I think also kind of some lingering injuries at the time. Amanda Kessel did not play in the PWHL last year, so you didn't see her get one of those core designations that we talked about with Sarah Nurse or like a Lee Steckline for Minnesota, Kendall Coyne Schofield, etc. But in my estimation, she is absolutely on par with those players. Some of them have been her teammates. Some of them have been her long-term, opposition for Hockey Canada. But Amanda Kessel is definitely worthy of that. So why did she go 41st overall? Well, I think a little bit of this has to do with her prior commitments to Pittsburgh. And we do know going into the PWHL's inaugural season at the top of this year that everything from the collective bargaining agreement to how the league was set up and the fight for this league to get going was all in service of making this league not only the one women's professional hockey league, but the one league where women could be paid as pros. Now, that being said, we've talked about the contracts before, and there is a maximum of 6 players that can make a minimum of, I believe it's around $80K, somewhere around there. And those are guaranteed contracts. Now, $80K for a women's league definitely puts them in the higher echelon of what we've seen in women's hockey in the past. And that's a minimum guarantee. So effectively, if you look at the WNBA contracts, we're kind of looking at like the veteran core salary, which is about $122K. And So still behind the WNBA, but that's only 6 players that can make that. There are also designations in the WNBA where you really just can't afford to pay everyone at that amount. And so the average salary is still much lower than what you would expect for a professional athlete. And quite honestly, even for professional women's sports, where we see in the WNBA and especially the NWSL, salaries continue to rise as more sponsorship dollars, as more broadcast deals come to fruition. So when it comes to Amanda Kessel, reading the tea leaves a little bit here, and then also going off of some of what we heard after she was drafted, I think if you're PWHL Montreal, you don't want to miss out on the opportunity to get Amanda Kessel, who had declared for the draft, made herself available, so was obviously interested to see what was happening. But you also don't want to effectively, quote unquote, lose a draft pick or tap out financially by coring someone who might not be available for all PWHL games. Now, in the past, in other leagues, we've seen that leagues have worked with players. They've even, and we actually have seen this in the PWHL, you might have players that are kind of part time or considered reserve players because of their commitments elsewhere. And I'm not exactly sure where Amanda Kessel falls on all of this, but I just want to give you this information to kind of understand what we're seeing and what could potentially be either Kessel joining the PWHL, maybe deciding not to join the PWHL, or is there something in between? We just don't know yet. But I want to give a stick tap over to the hockey news because they followed up with Danielle Sauvignon, who is, of course, is the PWHL Montreal general manager. And this is the quote that was given to the Hockey News. Quote, I was made aware of Amanda Kessel's nomination, along with the Pittsburgh Penguins general manager Kyle Dubas's declaration to the fact that the decision to pursue her playing career belongs to her and that he will support her decision. I hope to see Amanda in a Montreal uniform this upcoming season so that all PWHL fans can appreciate her talent on the ice. That makes 2 of us, Danielle. I am dying to see Amanda Kessel cut it up in this league. I don't think we've ever really seen her tap out her full potential in a professional league. And as I've already mentioned, at the international stage, unfortunately, I think she gets overshadowed by other names that, in my estimation at least, are not better than her at hockey. So it's going to be interesting to see where Amanda Kessel falls. Just a reminder that Dubas told DK Sports Pittsburgh, or DK Pittsburgh Sports, after Amanda was drafted, quote, I don't want to speak for Amanda, and she's been outstanding in our front office. It's a tough one because the PWHL finally started getting rolling, and it's a great avenue for women to play and be rewarded financially for their talents. So I'd like to see Amanda live that out and make sure that she's happy on that front. But at the same time, we'd love for her to stay in the front office. She was outstanding in the year on so many fronts, and her potential on the front office side is unlimited. She can run her own NHL team one day. Just the progress that she's made this year has been spectacular. So we'll see what happens there. That's Amanda's own personal thing, and we're supportive either way. So that was after Amanda was drafted back in June. And this promotion just came this week. So I think it really gives Amanda some options. If I had to guess, she'll probably get paid a little bit better with the Pittsburgh Penguins than she might with PWHL Montreal. But again, how much is she committed to showing that she can still be an elite level hockey player? How committed is she to being a part of the growth of this league? And I want to pause there because whether it's Amanda Kessel or quite honestly anyone else, it really shouldn't be up to the players alone and arguably at all, especially early on, to feel the burden of making this league successful. You really want the athletes to do the best that they can to be the best athlete that they can. And if you select your team properly as a general manager, if you set up the marketing correctly as a league front office, then if just to use Amanda as an example, if Amanda Kessel does everything she needs to do to be an elite level athlete, then the product should speak for itself. Or you have people that are speaking on behalf of Amanda Kessel's amazing talent on the ice. So if Amanda Kessel doesn't decide to come to the PWHL, I don't think that should be an indictment on how she feels necessarily about the league. Not necessarily. And I don't think it should be an indictment on how much she quote unquote believes in or wants to promote the future of women's hockey. And I've gotten to cover Amanda Kessel when she played for the Riveters, and I really respect that. From my interactions with her, Amanda Kessel wants to be a hockey player. She wants to talk about hockey things. She understands, and I think she's grown into being comfortable talking about the hashtag or quote unquote grow the game movement. But I don't ever feel that she was the kind of player that was going to on her own take that on. Now, you compare that to a Kendall Coyne Schofield, a Hillary Knight, a Sarah Nurse. And again, there is a role and an important role that those players have played and will continue to play. And those are the players that people recognize, even if they're just casually or quite honestly not at all following women's hockey. So it's not that one path is better or worse. You just have to know what your role is and what you're comfortable doing. And I love that, at least in their quotes, both the Penguins and PWHL Montreal are saying that they're going to leave this decision up to Amanda Kessel. So what will she decide? I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. For my money, I think maybe we don't see Amanda Kessel in the PWHL this season. I think the PWHL Montreal team would have to get really innovative, not just with how they're going to pay her and compensate her, but also with the scheduling. The games are every other day in the middle of the week. How is that going to work for someone who is managing scouting, and a minor league development at the AHL level and is feeding that information directly to the Pittsburgh Penguins? I don't know if that's really going to work out. But of course, selfishly, I would love to see Amanda Kessel. Now, speaking of Amanda Kessel in the Olympics, the last little nugget that I want to leave with is that we, of course, just had Paris 2024. We have the Paralympics starting up here soon. And that makes me think of 2026 when Milano Cortina will host the next Winter Olympics. But if you're looking to just Google the hockey venues, what you're going to find is that the main venue is not even finished yet. This is one of the Olympics where some of the venues, including the ice hockey rink in Milano, has been contracted, and the proposal included a vision for the facility, not a completed facility. So there are some concerns, as we're already effectively past the 2-year mark until the Winter Olympics. What is that going to look like? Are all of the venues going to be solidified? And at least at the top of the year, closer to February, some of those answers were, we don't know. And the planning committee for Milano Cortina in Italy felt that they were behind and really hoping that they could, pump on that gas with some of their contractors and other things that they need to get going. So I don't know if she's officially done with hockey overall. I certainly hope we get to see Amanda Kessel. But what I hope even more is whoever is on that USA hockey team and all of the other teams that will compete, that the facilities are done and are safe. All right. So I guess we'll just have to follow up there. Thanks for watching and listening to the Women's Hockey Spotlight.